the way that I actually learned that Jason worked with Head from KoRn was not through like Googling or anything. I previously knew Jason strictly from Breaking Benjamin and from Red, and the book, just like how the books you read are mainly special operations. I mainly read rock biographies, rock autobiographies, and I read Head's book. And he's praising Jasen Rauch, great guy, worked with him. And also you guys kind of connecting on your Christian faith. And like,
That's
it was cool. I remember I texted you. I was like, dude, I'm reading about you right now.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was so cool to see. And I'm assuming for you, man, to go from that to, I think you're like 5 years older than me. You had to have grown up with KoRn, like to now writing a song on a KoRn album. It's got to be unbelievable.
That's been really cool. So he and I have remained good friends. He lives out here, and I just talked to him yesterday. Actually, he's connected me with his one of the guys that does some work with him. So we're kind of going back and forth about that. But anyway, he's so funny because he's absolutely a product of all the artist sides and the little intricacies you could possibly think of. Because like his bed is. You go to his house and he's got these blackout curtains and fans in there, and he's got a subwoofer in there that vibrates. We lived together for a while, and because we were both touring so much that year that we were together, it was just like, you just want to make a crash pad here, because he can't stay in one spot more than like 2 months. Like, it makes him anxious because he never has. He's been touring since 94, 93 maybe, full time. And so it's just been that it's so hard to kind of stay still and whatever, and he gets these little quirky anxieties about things, as do I in other areas. But he and I were able to click on a lot of things, like you said about faith, about some of our failures. I mean, he's failed a lot, in most people's eyes, a lot harder ways than I have on a personal
and the
level.
book, and by the way, the book, which I read, outlines a lot of that. And some of the stuff in that book, I mean, he got taken by guys who, presented themselves as millions. Like, oh, I'm a Christian and I want to work with you. And they like stole millions of his dollars.
Yeah. And be able to bounce back and then be as successful as he is now on the field and off, I guess you could say, in the industry and outside with his other investments. He's got startup businesses. His daughter's doing great. She's in her 20s now. And I remember just that kind of, like, he's such an example to me and such an inspiration because, again, full circle talking about failures. Like, he was a meth addict for, 16 years or something like that. Like, who's not going to do meth? Him.
Yeah.
I promise you, I have more faith that the guy's not going to do that again than I do it myself sometimes. Like, I would never try things like that ever. But like, that's a guy who learned, and that's a guy who whatever, sometimes, like, in my past, my first marriage, towards the end of it, I had a little bit of like identity crisis of myself and just wasn't the best dude. But who now, like, going forward in my relationships, I'm going to bet on myself over somebody who's never been through something like that 100 times over.